So I'm back in California now, and my friend Becky just picked up a Meteor 350. We're gonna go talk to her about how she loves this bike. Hey Becky.
Hey Andy.
So this is your new Meteor.
This is my Meteor.
The 350.
Just added to my collection.
So I heard you named this the Sunflower.
Sunflower.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color bike and it looks really cool. I'm noticing behind you another really cool looking bike.
Yes.
And that is the Bonneville T120, and that was your first bike, right?
This was my first. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the progression. So when did you take the motorcycle class and when did you become a rider?
So February I passed the safety class.
And that was how long ago? We're in May now.
Pretty much May, yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, 3 months I took the class, then I took it a second time, maybe a month later, which was hugely beneficial, I thought.
Okay.
And then I went and got my license.
Okay.
And rode this for, well, up until I guess a month ago.
Yeah.
Not a couple weeks.
And this is a beautiful bike. This is a premium. I mean,
love.
Yeah.
But it just proved to be a step above where I needed to be as a brand new rider.
It was
never have ridden a motorcycle
in terms
before.
of weight, mostly.
Weight and being able to feel like I could do the things that they taught in class, like swerving and leaning into turns. It just intimidates me a little bit right now in my
But you
stage.
kept the bike because
This is my bike.
because that is
my
your
first
bike.
love.
Right. I mean, I remember we went to the dealership and you saw that, you went to it, you sat on it, you felt it, you said, this is my bike.
Immediately, before I even had the class or the license or anything, any riding experience at all behind me.
And you did get some good rides in on this bike. We had some good rides, but you've also
Tipped it over.
you've found ways to get this kind of dinged up a little bit, but you had the engine bars, so the bike's not in bad shape.
Nope.
But you decided, rather than give a 16-year-old new driver a Mercedes, you decided to find something different to learn on. Is that right?
Yes.
And here we go to the Meteor. Let's check it out. I love that the wheels look like Hot Wheels cars. They have that little yellow trim around it. So cool. You've already put the RAM mount on there for your phone, so you can hear your tunes when you're riding. That's not new rider stuff right there. That's pro stuff right there.
Oh, it makes the ride even better.
It does. I love the color on this bike. I love that it's blacked out and then against the yellow. And show me some of the cool stuff. This seat looks really comfortable.
It's very comfortable. I'm not sore at all after a 100-mile ride yesterday. Not
Yeah,
sore
your
at all.
first real ride on this was a 100-mile ride. Well, look at what a great spot we found to celebrate what? On the Royal Enfield Meteor, the first 100 miles. What do you think of your first 100 miles?
Fantastic. Super fun. Yep, not sore at all. I haven't tried a passenger on the back yet. I'm not to that point. But this is what I love. First of all, the weight of the bike is perfect for me. I feel it more. I can lean into turns and swerve and start from a uphill stop and not be so intimidated like I was with this one. And it'll be just that step I need to learn the things I need to know to graduate into that one. And it has really cool little features, like we have this cool little nav system right here that hooks right into Google Maps on your phone. You just put your destination in on your phone.
Gives you a left turn, right turn, that kind of thing.
It has an app for Royal Enfield, and then you can connect your phone up to that.
That's cool.
We have USB port
the USB
right here.
is right under there, which as though they thought that somebody might put a mount right on their bars.
Ta-da.
How about that? That's engineering.
I know. Came with these, like
that's
standard.
This is pretty cool to either hold on to, but also I noticed to hook something to. If you're going to put some, you want to put a pack back there or some kind of a cargo back there. That's pretty easy to do that. And it's useful to put up on the center stand, which this bike comes with standard.
Yep.
It's not on the center stand right now, but it has it, and it's super light and easy to pick it up and put it on the stand with these handrails.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Can you put this bike on its center stand?
Not at all. Not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah, a little heavy, right?
Nope. Yep.
I think someday you will be able to,
Someday,
but
yeah,
it
just
hasn't
get
been
that
successful
feeling.
yet.
Yeah. The other cool thing about this bike for my height,
Uh-huh.
this one, when I try to hold on with my legs, I'm hitting right here on the hot part of my
Oh.
motorcycle. And so I can't really hold because it gets super hot. This one, no problem at all.
So how tall are you?
5'3" and 3/4.
Oh, 5'3" and 3/4. And what is your inseam?
No idea.
No idea. See, dude's pants you buy
Yeah.
with inseams.
Yes.
And so my inseam, I know, is a 31. I'm just about 6 foot. And I rode this bike, and it was not too cramped on me to ride this bike for a while. But it was a little smaller than I'd probably prefer as my own bike. But for you, why don't you throw a leg over and let's just see, let people see. She's 5'3" and 3/4, almost 5'4", and go ahead and put both feet up and straighten that bike. Just straighten it up and hold it. So that's what you would be like sitting.
So light.
Yeah, you're comfortably touching both feet.
And I rode on the freeway for I don't know how many miles yesterday.
We did 3 or 4 exits versus, probably 10 miles of freeway yesterday.
Yeah.
And I will
fine.
say that was a 70-mile-an-hour section. And how did it handle at 70 miles an hour?
I got it up to 70. I think that's probably about the max it wants to go. But
was it smooth? Did it rattle your teeth out or?
not at all.
Great. So this is an interesting, go ahead and use that. Go ahead and show us how that works.
So
Shifting up for,
to shift up, pushing down on your heel is essentially the same
as doing
up with
that,
your
yeah.
toe. So it was amazing how fast I got used to that.
Okay, so because you had just taken the motorcycle class, so
Yeah.
so getting used to something different, I know, was worrisome to you.
Yeah.
And yet you say, how fast did you get used to
Oh
it?
my gosh. Twice. I shifted twice with it.
And then you had it.
That is a really cool thing. But downshifting, I have a little problem with it. I don't feel it as much as I do on this one with my toe shifter.
You know, I had the exact same experience, and if you guys want to stick around, I'll show video of the ride that I did to test this bike out, and I talk a little bit about that. I agree. It does show here your what gear you're in, which is cool.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, because it's not a really solid shift like the Triumph, which is a very premium transmission package, right?
And it's in kind of a funny spot. It's not super ergonomic for me.
We're gonna try to adjust that.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a point here. I'm gonna put the video to it, but there's a point at which you can adjust the lever a little bit and see if we can raise the front a little bit and maybe make that a little more accessible. But otherwise, you love this bike.
I love this bike. And I also love, for me, this position, sitting up like this, is supernatural. Supernatural. It just feels really natural for me. So it doesn't bother me that I'm not leaning over or...
Which is why, and we took several hours to do that 100 miles.
Yes.
Because we were checking things out, stopping and taking pictures, and in several hours, your wrists are fine, you're not bent over funny.
Fine. Yeah, that is another thing I noticed that on my Bonneville, I don't know if it scares me, so I'm holding tighter, or if it's harder to turn the throttle, but my wrist wasn't hurting on this bike.
Probably a little bit of geometry difference, but also I bet you just simply were not as loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm looser on this one.
Yeah, because you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay for the sunflower.
Yay for the sunflower.
So for those of you who want to stick around, I'm going to show you a video now where I tested the bike. It only had 20 miles on it, and we looked at the brakes, we looked at the suspension, I put it on twisty roads, and I just got a general sense of how this bike worked from the standpoint of somebody who's been riding a while. So stick around and check that out, and if you're going to go now, please think about subscribing, and I appreciate you watching up to this point. All right, off we go. Well, I mean, I'm in traffic here. I'm at 45, almost 50 miles an hour really quickly. So in terms of looking at this like a tiny bike, immediately I'm surprised by it. The ability for it to get up and go. You know, I'm a 250-pound dude, 6 foot, and I'm able to ride this thing. Yeah, I'd like to reposition that shifter a little bit, and I know my friend mentioned that to me too. It's a little bit forward, but that heel shifter took all of about 30 seconds to get used to. Okay, I'm in second gear here, wrapping it up. There's third gear, there's 50 miles an hour. I'm already at the speed limit. And if I want to go, keep in mind I'm going uphill as well. But I can tell you that riding it in traffic like this so far, no problem. I hardly can tell the front shifter's even there because I can hardly feel it. It's so down low. I'm going to split traffic with it for the first time. This tiny bike, here's one of the reasons why you have a tiny bike. Here in California, we can split lanes like this legally. And yep, it can go. So these pegs are forward. Can I stand up? Yes, I can stand up on this bike, but it's a little weird. You know, some cruisers you couldn't stand up. So like I said, it's not full cruiser position, but it is foot forward position. And I can say that it's really actually comfortable. Here, and there's fourth gear. I feel a little bit of buzz in the feet, but only at certain RPMs. Like it's really smooth, slow. Then there's a little point at which it gets a little buzz, and now I'm wrapping it up a little more, a little higher RPM, and it's gone. The buzz is gone. So that's kind of a cool. I mean, I can live with a buzz at one point in the RPM range. You know, it's not a really big bike. And but it doesn't look like a small bike. You know, I ride around on my Honda Monkey, and that's 125cc. It's a tiny bike by design. Everybody goes, "Oh, how cute! Look at that little bike!" And it is awesome. That's what that bike's for. This bike is meant to be, for my friend who bought this bike. This bike, for some, is meant to be kind of that beginner bike that allows you to, you know, maneuver around like a monkey like this. Look how flickable it is, but not look like you're on a tiny bike. And that's what I get from this bike. It doesn't sound like a tiny bike, and it doesn't look like a tiny bike. It looks like I'm on a, you know, adult-sized motorcycle. And to be honest, I'm loving it. I'm having a good time on this bike. Is this something that I'd want to be my only bike as a guy who's been riding for 20 years? No, probably not. But do I want one? Kind of. I kind of want, look how easily I just weave in and out of here. That guy wishes he had this bike. It has this little when you get down to the idle here. It's kind of fun. But this is a great buddy bike. You know, at the price and everything, to have another bike just to hop on and go. It's got such a great back seat. I don't know, I haven't even tried it with a passenger yet, but and I didn't think I would for a 350, but now that I'm riding, I'm like, you know, my wife could ride on the back of this thing and really it would not be a big deal. I like that heel shifter. Wasn't sure I would, but I do. You know, in terms of moto picnic, this bike is definitely a picnic bike. Stop and smell the roses, take a lunch with you, go see some stuff. Super comfortable, super cheap on the gas. looks cool, fun to ride. What else are you looking to do? I will say, as big as I am, it's a little cramped for me, maybe for the long term. You know, this has that big kind of a cruiser seat. I often ride my, if I'm going on a longer trip, I'm going to ride my Street Scrambler, my Triumph. And that thing just cradles you, and it's fun to ride. It's a lot like this, but on a higher end scale. And the seat's a little more comfortable there. I think this seat, for my friend who is 5'5" or something, this bike's gonna feel like the bigger bikes do on me, and that's good. But am I having a hard time riding this? Not in the least. And I could ride this bike, I could put hours on this bike and not be worried by it. Boy, that downshift is weird. I gotta move that pedal again because I barely feel it. I'm looking, thank goodness I have that gear shifter indicator on the gauges there, because I can hardly tell that it is shifting. It's not a positive kind of a clink. It's not a positive clink kind of a thing. It's just the number changes down there, but I can't tell from the toes. Look how this thing corners, and just such a good time. I'm gonna take it out to a place where I think have some nice little tight corners. That'll be fun to ride on. It feels like a light bike, but you know where it doesn't feel like a light bike is I passed a lot of traffic, and you know, I'm getting blown. You can see the trees a little bit here today, the wind blowing. I'm not getting blown around like a light little bike. There's a truck passing me. I'm not feeling any of that. And that's interesting. And yet, when I flick it around, go from here to there, feel a little bit like Easy Rider right now. Born to be wild. So the suspension on this bike, I'm getting a little bouncy on this turn and hitting a few bumps. It's a little bouncy for me. It does have a preload adjustment on the rear springs, and I think I would adjust that a little bit, but it's not horrible. Like right now, it's not too bouncy. I mean, that's the first time I really noticed that. Yeah, just enjoying the scenery and enjoying some curves. Absolutely, this bike does that. It's not a race car. It's not a race bike. It's not a track machine that zips you around like a Gixxer 1000 or something like that. It's just simply a I want to go see some things bike. I want to go out, enjoy the sun, look at the stuff, have a picnic. That's this bike. You know, if I was a student, I was going to school and I was thinking about what do I have to ride or to get around, especially with the gas prices right now. Boy, this bike could sure be a nice option, because it's easy to ride. The gas, it's gonna sip the gas with a 350cc motor, plenty of tank, and you know, you could park it, you could put a cover on it easy. Okay, here's that if you can hear it in my voice, there's that suspension that needs a preload adjustment. A little bit harsh suspension, but again, this is not a Triumph. It's not a BMW. This is a $4,500 Royal Enfield, which let's be honest, Royal Enfield has a long history and a heritage of those British bikes. You know, these are made in India now, but it's that same heritage. And they've kept that in the look and feel of this bike. But yeah, it's cheaper on the components. These are not high-end shocks, but they're doing the job. And I think if I adjust them a little bit, they do a better job. You know, we're not going that fast, and we're cruising around to where I think pogo sticking around corners and things is going to happen anyway. So I don't know that, there we go again, yep. I don't know that this bike warrants a high-end suspension, just from a performance standpoint, but it's a nice ride, and it continues to be. It's just bumpy road here, but I can tell you on my Triumph, this bumpy road is not so bumpy. You know, that road is substantially small and twisty, and I'm in third gear, and I don't think I really need to shift up and down in third gear. I could just take that road, and was doing so at about 35 to 40 maybe. Getting into a state park here now, significantly better road. I've done this exact route on the Monkey, and it was very similar. I think the Monkey's made a little flickable, more flickable, because why? It's a tiny little bike, and it's got no wheelbase, hardly. This is a longer wheelbase, so it's smoother and on the acceleration and the speed and all that kind of stuff. But is it flickable? Sure. I mean, I'm able to do what I want on this bike, and it's probably faster than you'd really do this road anyway if you're just here to look at the scenery, which, let's face it, I am. And why wouldn't you be wanting to look at the scenery out here? Look at this. Beautiful California spring, the end of April. I'm going to take it right in here. Let's see how it handles. This a little bit bumpy, kind of a rocky road to get into this parking lot picnic area. And we're just going to see how it does. Yeah, it's bumpy. Can I stand up? Yep, I can stand up, but not really made for that. It's a little weird to stand up on it. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna go out on this ledge and take a picture. There it is. That's how we moto picnic. So easy to just back out of a little spot like that. It's so light. And just be on your way. Watch this, but actually it took that bump pretty good. It's a little jitters that get this bike. I'm gonna take a picture of this bike against the purple flowers because it's a big yellow bike. See what I'm saying? Anybody getting me on that? Fire it up. That's fun. It's fun every time to hear that off this little bike. Now, some people have asked about these brakes. Let's try them out here. I'm in second gear here, 25 miles an hour. There's rear only. This is actually not that bad. Front is not what you'd expect from a front brake. but it's not also getting here. Let's use that ABS. It's not as progressive as you'd think, that front brake, to where I can kind of feel it and just a little bit use it or use it a lot. Here, I'm going to go ahead and slam the brakes. Here we go. Ooh, ABS got me stopped real quick. So in terms of safety, I don't think these brakes, oh, here we go. We're leaning now. That was fun. In terms of safety, I don't think these brakes are a problem. Boom, there we go again. And because my feet are in front of me, as a beginner, you could, you really can push your feet against to help you not get thrown over the front, which, an experienced rider is going to understand that they need to shift the weight back on the braking and stuff. But if you're a beginner rider and you're just getting in a position that's a little over your head and you brake really hard to the point that your ABS engages, you may not be shifted back, and you can use your feet to help you stay back. And that's actually kind of a cool thing. I'm going to go ahead and engage that ABS right here. See if I can stop. Oh, look at that, right before I even got to the edge of that pavement. Yeah, it works. So the issues that I had or I should say the worry that I had on the brakes, because I did read that the brakes were not as awesome as some. I'm not worried now because I see that they stopped the bike just fine. But yes, they don't have the feel of a more premium bike. And let's be honest, this is not a premium bike. But man, there's a lot of premium stuff in it for a little bike for what it is. I think this bike is awesome. And I would not be afraid to have this as a buddy bike and something that friends could ride, not get them in trouble. They could keep up with me, but they're not going to outrun me, or certainly they're not going to beat me off the line on my Triumph. And frankly, I don't know if they're going to beat me off the line on my KLX, but they'll keep me up with my Monkey. I could ride this bike. I could ride along with somebody on this bike, either with my Triumph Street Scrambler or with a Honda Monkey. So think about that. Think about how mismatched you are. If you got a Bonneville T120 and a Honda Monkey riding down the road, think about how mismatched you are. Whereas this can ride with both, with either or, and just not really affect how the other one's going to do their riding. Because if I wanted to speed up and just kind of be at speed and cruise down the highway, I can do that. Or if I want to slow down and just take these curves and just play around like you do on a Monkey or a Grom or something like that, I can certainly do that too. So, this is a great beginner bike that you may not trade up into a bigger bike. What you may do is simply get a bigger bike later and keep this bike as a toy. And I get that not everybody's listening here can sit there and go, well, I can't really afford new bikes for buddy bikes and new this. This is a $4,500 bike. It's probably $6,000 out the door when you're talking about dealer fees and all that kind of stuff. And I get that $6,000 is not nothing. But and if that's the case, and then this may be your only bike because you can't afford a $15,000 Triumph, right? This bike is less than half of those bikes. And so, but is it less than half motorcycle? No. Am I having less than half fun on it? Nope. Not nearly. I'm having a ton of fun on this bike. But here, you're hearing me on this road again. That's where some of that extra $6,000 goes on the premium bikes, is in the suspension and in the bigger motor and in the refinery of the shifting of gears and all the transmission and the tires. It all adds up into a premium package, and this is not supposed to be a premium package, but I think they meant for it to be maybe a premium in its class, and I think they've achieved that. Throw some music in the helmet. find a nice road like this, you just gently carve up, and this bike is just a joy. You know, it's hard for me to get on a bike and say, oh, this bike's no good, because I like every motorcycle. I like all kinds of bikes. It's fun to ride just about every bike, but there are bikes that are just not what you had in mind, or just not, they don't fit right. They don't feel, there's something's weird about them that you don't want to, you know, they bug you and they just get in the way of the ride. There's nothing on this bike that is getting in the way of my ride today. On this beautiful road with these nice little curves. This puts you on a bike. It puts you on a real bike for out the door around $6 grand. Kudos, Royal Enfield. Nicely done.